Okay, hello. We are live on Facebook. Hello, Sovereign Warriors. Welcome back. Welcome to Warriors of Light show. We had a brief break last Thursday because it was my birthday week. And yes, we are out celebrating 31 years on this planet. Very exciting. I'm quite into celebrating my birthday. But we're back. Hello, how have you been? I miss you all. I missed hanging out here, and I come with so many updates. So let's jump into these updates. So the first update that I want to share with you all is my new offer that is open now. This is Healing with the Divine Grandmothers. For those who've been with me for a while, you may know this course. I've done it. I think this will be the fourth group actually, fourth group that will be doing this course. And every time I experiment with this course, and this time around, it will be in a workshop style, where we will have a workshop every month for the next 3 months, right? And that workshop will have like 6 hours of diving deep into the different topics that we will be exploring, right? So a little bit about this course. What's interesting is this has been happening to me lately. There's so much energy in the fields that I'm always so affected in ways that it's been quite a struggle for me to be composed all the time. So even right now in this moment, I am feeling spirit here, even though I'm not even in my sacred temple, right? So just a heads up for those who are with me in the mystery school, they know that sometimes the spirit shows up, and I don't know if the grandmothers have a message for us with today's topic. Probably we will see. But the grandmothers, how I came to do this work, particularly warrior work, particularly genetic path cutter work, the first group of guidance I've received, or collective guidance I've received, is from a collective consciousness that call themselves the Grandmother Nala, right? And the Grandmother Nala, they are a collective matrix or a field made up of my own personal grandmothers from this lineage, as well as grandmothers from other lineages, my soul lineages, and obviously the grandmothers of the land, and this land I'm in, this African grid, this planet, So the word Nala, I didn't know it when they were connecting with me back in 2018, but the word Nala means mother, it means beloved, it means wisdom, beauty, abundance, so it's just really powerful words, but really at the essence of it, Nala is mother, right? So it's like really another name for the grandmothers. And so when they started to connect with me, they were particularly interested in the healing of the women of Earth, particularly because of the miasma and the imprinting that us as the feminine body have went through. So healing with the divine grandmothers is particularly focusing on the wounding that the female body has experienced, the miasma we are holding from our own personal grandmothers within our lineages, the traumas of the women in our lineages, or the feminine in our lineages as well. So the course itself will be still centered around that. It has always been about us working with the collective consciousness of the mother principle in our planet, the Holy Mother, the clan mothers, the original grandmothers. There are 13 of them that represent the different tribes of Earth. So we'll be working with them as well. So it's a very powerful but also introductory course. It's very introductory because it's about essentially deepening our healing around the mother wound, the feminine wound, the sisterhood wound, of course, also in relationship to the masculine and to the man, right? So we're going to be doing this workshop series in 3 parts. The first one will be the divine grandmother connection activation, which is really connecting with our own grandmother consciousness and the miasma of that we are holding from our grandmothers, and also obviously working with the fallen consciousness of the feminine, the dark feminine in our lineages, as well as the exalted, like the higher consciousness of our grandmothers as well, right? So, but it will be mostly about connecting with this. And this is so interesting for me because I actually never really consciously come up with these titles, but I've been getting a lot of confirmations from my sessions, and a lot of the feedback that has been coming through has been just our lack of awareness of how much the feminine in a family often holds the same pain. It's just in a different iteration, right? Each one of us in a family, we will experience a similar patterning, right? A similar trauma that our ancestors had before, and it's continuing. This is why certain things may happen to siblings, sisters, you know, the daughters of the family, right? And also even our mental and emotional temperament may be the same. You know, you may be like in a family, like all the women there, they are, you know, loud, or they get angry very quickly, right? That's miasma, that anger that has moved. It's in the same, I mean, it's moving in the same flow within the female collective in the family, right? And so when we do healing as women, we're doing healing for the entire collective women field in our planet, but also for our bloodlines as well, for all the women in our bloodlines. So we're going to be working with that. It's going to be juicy, right? Who is excited? Let me know. And then we're also going to do genetic records, lineage clearing. I've been getting trained into another different, higher way of clearing our genetics, you know, and how we access our records and how our records influence our lives, right? So the records, a lot of the genetic records that we're holding, it's just like one of the exciting things to contemplate on if you're wondering if you should join. Your genetic records, in your genetic records, there is the records of your mother and your father's experiences prior to your arrival on planet Earth, and particularly the emotional and mental experiences that they went through that shapes who they are, that has shaped who they are. So meaning, like, for example, if your father went through a difficult experience in his childhood, and that created a field of sadness for him, when you are born, you will inherit the sadness of your father. It will be in your records, and it will influence your relationship with your father as well as with the masculine. It's so much information coming through from spirit today. Oh my God. Okay. Yes. So we are going to learn how to clear these genetic records, how to access what did we receive from our first ancestors, which is our mothers and fathers, and then the ancestors after them, the grandmothers and the great-grandparents, and so forth, all the way to the 7th generation, right? So we're going to be doing genetic records lineage clearing in this way, in the current way that I'm currently being taught how to do this in ways that's very effective. Who? Yes, I'm going to keep saying who because there's so much energy here that just came through. It's the grandmothers that are here. Okay. Oh my God. And then we are going to have, it is going to be so juicy. Yes, it's going to be so good. Yes. And then the last part is going to be the feminine Christ. Let me check what I wrote up in here. The feminine Christ mission ceremony. And this one, definitely it's not to be missed. It's going to be this very powerful transmission where we are going to receive our feminine Christ codes and our mission here on planet Earth. And it's just going to be so amazing. Yeah. Whew. I am recording. Well, I'm not recording. It's live streaming to Facebook. So it's going to be stored on Facebook. And that's what we're going to upload on YouTube. Yes. So I typically never record it because my assistant can just take it from Facebook. Unless it's not live streaming, there will be a problem. Let me check. Who? Oh, hello, humans on Facebook, there. Okay, thank you for joining us. So is the grandmothers different from the mystery school? Yes, so this one is an introductory, to ancestral healing. So it's a type of course you can do and then do the mystery school after that. In fact, if you're thinking of joining the mystery school, I highly recommend that you do the grandmothers as well. It will just open you up in such profound ways that the mystery school will not be a little overwhelming, just so that you have an experience of going through ancestral healing, right? So yes, it is different. It is different, but of course, all my teachings are a combination of each other, and they are, yes, constantly expanding, but yes, if you do one, it doesn't mean you can't do the other, Yes. Oh, Sipokazi, your grandmother's name is Nala. Beautiful. Yes. Whew. Okay. Does the divine grandmother work connect us to paternal grandmothers? Yes, it connects us to our maternal and paternal grandmothers because we are greatly influenced by these beings, particularly these specific ancestors. Our grandmothers have so much influence on us. And in terms of the imprints we received from our paternal and from our maternal. The paternal grandmother works a little differently from the maternal. The way that the grandmothers have been teaching me is that the paternal grandmother, the emotion of this grandmother are often taken by the son, which is who? Your father. And so you are going to receive the records of your grandmother, paternal grandmother, from your father, right? And the father and his experience of this mother wound with your paternal grandmother is always so visceral, but for a lot of women, we pick that particularly from our father. We pick that mother wound and we carry it and we also reincarnate it, repeat it, right? And then from your maternal, it will be your maternal's emotional field affects you definitely 60% more than your paternal, but they all influence you in like such deep ways. And from your maternal, you tend to inherit a lot of your gifts and your missions and your template from her, right? Your maternal. And so because of that, she's greatly involved in your Venus sequence, your relationships, right? Your maternal, and your spiritual gifting, as well as your, womb stuff, fertility, and so on, while your paternal will influence you with what we're talking about today, which is what we call the Pearl sequence, prosperity, money. That is from your paternal grandmother. Definitely we need to look into how she experienced money, because we completely took her template, because she gave that template to your father, who you took and recorded that in your genetics, and now you interact with money based on how your father interacted with money, which he inherited also obviously from his father as well, your paternal grandmother. It's all juicy stuff. It's gonna be juicy. We're gonna do this every last Sunday, 6 hours, 3 hours in the morning, and then 2-hour break. And we're gonna come for the last 3 hours. The first session is gonna be pretty powerful because I'm going to be doing, I don't necessarily like this word, but a channeled transmission from your grandmothers, every person. And please, I mean, I'm hoping you all come, but I hope not a lot of people come, because I've never channeled for more than 12 people, but I think I can do 20 people. Yes, but yes, I will channel specifically your specific message from your whichever grandmother comes through, because sometimes it's the bloodline grandmothers, sometimes it's the grandmothers of the land, sometimes it's the cosmic grandmothers. It's all different. Whew. So this is my way of like supporting you in your introduction to ancestral healing. So you can check out the website, read on it. I mean, I feel like the investment is manageable, you know, check it out, let me know. I will see you in the grandmothers. So that's the first update. The second update is what I was just talking about how the field is so active right now. And this has been the same since mid-March, and it's gonna continue until April 12th. The energy, this specific palpable energy, it's gonna continue because it's the energy that is preparing for the Jupiter conjunction with Mercury, right? So, I mean, those who are astrologers, they know what I mean. I honestly don't really even know what I mean because I'm not an astrologer, but I have a basic understanding of astrology because I have studied it in 10 years, but I'm not a professional, right? So when Jupiter and these energies come together, they affect and influence us. And so the energy has been so palpable. In my own personal life, or at least in my spiritual life, I have noticed that my psychic gifts have actually expanded, or they've grown. And the reason for that is because there is a new grid that just came online, a new timeline. This is what I received from the transmissions that I've been receiving from the guardians of light, right? There is a new grid in our field. And if you're like intuitive enough, you probably would have felt it in the body. You'd also notice that we just got new missions, right? So there's some people who now they started to find themselves interested in certain things that they've not been doing, right? That's probably what you call a new mission, right? And that new mission is honestly, obviously always about the evolution of our planet and supporting, being in service to humanity, right? And I mean, besides that new mission, there's also this deeper clarity of your purpose, right? Or how you're meant to be in service. If you tune in, right, you can either be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but if you feel into it, you probably have been getting more clarity on your purpose on this planet or your service in the world. This is so interesting because I did not expect this energy to be here. Yeah, okay. So the new grid, what is the new grid about? Right, so let me explain what I mean when I say grids also, right? So in the same way that as a planet, as a human being, you have your own spiritual body, and that spiritual body has information about who you are and who you're meant to be, and like the kind of templates and blueprints and expressions you hold that some of them you inherited from your bloodline ancestors, some of them from your cosmic ancestry. And this information that is in the light body or spiritual field informs the kind of experiences you have, the kind of experiences you magnetize, and so on and so on, okay? So as a person, you can understand that. Are you with me? You get that your field, which I call morphogenetic field, influences what you manifest in the world, right? So meaning, for example, if you have a template of healing, you will magnetize opportunities that will pull you into being a healer, no matter what you do. That's because your grid, your personal grid is holding that, okay? And then we have, are you with me? Let me know. And then we have our planet. So this planet as well, it has its own energetic information on the kind of experiences that we will have as a planet, right? It's important for us to know that as a collective, as human beings, we influence the energy of our earth, and we actually create the collective experiences that we do have as a planet. And the way that we do that is based on our own personal subtle bodies, like our emotional bodies and so on. Meaning, for example, if humanity has a lot of unprocessed anger, right? That anger goes into our sphere, right, into the grid. It also influences how Earth experiences herself to a certain degree, not completely. And then we start to see, because there are so many people who are angry, we start to see a war erupting somewhere. The war is erupting because the energy of that unprocessed anger is influencing people and creating a stream of violence, for example. Okay, so every single period or season of our lives, there may be a shift in the collective morphogenetic field of Earth, in the template, which influences how we'll experience. So, for example, back in, I think, 2010, 11, 12, there was this mainstream ushering of the law of attraction, where people started to know, if you remember the book, The Secret, right? It just opened up the mainstream to understand this law. It is a law, which is called the law of attraction. And when enough people knew about the law of attraction, it created what we call a grid, right? And that grid is what people will connect with to basically manifest. Right? And that grid may not necessarily even be based on the highest level of truth, but it is our collective agreement. We are agreeing that in our planet, if you do this particular ritual, you will make money will come to you, right? If you chant enough, money will come to you, right? Even if it may be against the natural law, but if enough people believe in that and agree in this, that will be a new grid of manifestation. Right? You with me? So back in 2010, there was that new grid of manifestation where, you know, people were figuring out if you do mantras, if you do affirmations, and if you focus on positive thinking, then you will manifest money. That grid collapsed. It's not accessible. Well, it's no longer working, to tell the truth, simply. It's no longer working. Since 2012, it has been collapsing. Now it's just no longer there. Well, it's there. It's just, it doesn't work. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, when something used to work, for example, if you used to exercise a particular way and you use that exercise method, it works until a certain point and then it stops working for you, right? You've experienced something like that. So that grade of the law of attraction from 2010 it's no longer working because our consciousness changed. We started to have new agreements where we're like, no, this is not fair. A person doesn't need to sit down for 3 hours chanting, I am wealthy, and then money comes to them. That is ridiculous. That's actually against organic manifestation. And so the more people realize this, the more that grid stops to work, right? These are the mechanics of how things work here. So when that grid collapses, we are no longer attracting money in the same way, right? Mostly because, like I said, that was not in alignment with organic ascension. It was also quite unfair. Why was it unfair? Because of ancestral trauma and timelines, right? How many of us, I mean, based on your ancestry, based on the history of your people, how many of us can easily be in a state of positive thinking? If we are fair, is every human being able to maintain a stream of positivity based on where they are at all times? No, it's not possible. It cannot apply to all different lands. If you live in a land where there's been trauma, if you live in a land where there has a lot of density and violence, it's not possible to maintain the Wusa, I am wealthy frequency. So then it means certain people were not able to actually use that grid to a certain degree, right? So when things are like unfair like that, it means that this is not organic anymore, because there's only certain groups of consciousness benefits from that, right? So today's topic is about ancestral money trauma and why we need to become aware of this, because yes, your money is being influenced by the trauma of your people before, not just the trauma with money, but with trauma collectively, which influences your experience of money, of resources. And then I'm going to talk about the new grid, how the new grid works, why you get why it has to collapse, but we need to know, how does it work now? How do we move into this new grid? This new grid is actually, if you don't know, you may get frustrated by this new grid, because yes, it's actually requiring us to do healing, and it's requiring a different level of ourselves. But how it works is actually much fair and easier than the old one. It doesn't require the 1,000 mantras, and rituals that you have to do so many of them for the money to come. I mean, that has always felt off for me. Okay, are you with me? Yes, so that's what I mean by grids change. They are changed by the collective agreements of humanity. And you must understand, every single one of us, we actually belong to the council of the human race. There is a council we all attend to, right? In higher realms, we attend to this council where we come up with agreements and we agree to certain things. So we all agreed that's law of attraction not working anymore. We do that all the time when we go to sleep. Yes. Okay. So let's get to the transmission, and then I'll come to your questions, okay? Okay. Although we are talking about money, ultimately the highest level of understanding this is to know we're talking about prosperity. We're not talking about wealth as we know it, to just get rich. We're talking about prosperity, and within prosperity, there is your money in there. But if you want to enter the new grid, you have to understand the bigger essence of being prosperous, of the highest level of manifestation in this world, right? That grid is called prosperity, or that essence is prosperity. Okay, so Richard Rood in the Gene Keys, he calls the way in which you make money is through what he calls the pearl sequence, right? The word pearl, this is a beautiful pearl, the word pearl itself really means your great harvest, how you harvest, how you receive, how you receive back from the earth, back from life, back from God, right? The way that you do that is you have to plant, right? And there are different elements of planting that we have to do, right, as a people. And these, I'm just going to check out Richard Rood's thing, because just so I can say it properly. So there are 3 aspects that influence how your great harvest or your pearl or your prosperity grid, okay? So the first one is what we call your life's work. It's also your brand. It's also really the archetype of the sun, right? And when we think about our life's work, when we think of it from an astrological perspective, it's literally your sun sign, right? So the energy you project out to the world, the hard work you do in the world, right? As we're going along this, I'm going to keep telling you which belief systems you need to drop now because they are aligned to the old grid, right? So our life's work, our brand in the world, the work we're here to do, in the true organic grid, the idea that you do not have to work hard in life is false. It is not in alignment with human consciousness and human evolution. All human beings from generation to generations, they are embedded in them the DNA coding to work. You can't sit down and not work and expect manifestation to happen to you, for money to come to you, right? Because first thing we drop is, it's not about making money. It is allowing money to come to you. And you allow money to come to you through your life's work. What is your work in the world, right? So your work in the world is whatever profession you are doing, you are called to. Doesn't matter which one it is. That's your life's work, right? And then there could be obviously those who do feel like they're in the wrong life's work, or that contribution to life, to this planet, is not the highest one. But even with that, money still will work with what you are currently doing in the world, right? And so just generally, if we follow natural law, the person who works hard will yield more. They will have more to harvest. Right? So first question I want to ask you, are you working hard? And I'm not saying working hard in the exhausted type of way, right? But the first question is, are you working hard within your life's work? Are you showing up? Have you completely accepted that as a human being, this Monday to Friday system, as much as there are aspects of it that are not true, they are also part of how human genetics expresses itself. And the idea of even wanting to get to a point where you are not working, you're only working 2 times in a week completely, there's nothing you're doing, that is actually unnatural to you. It will be very difficult. It will actually collapse your consciousness if you just sat in the beach all day and you didn't work. You will go through a state of entropy, right? Are you with me? Can we drop the idea that it's easy, right? That we don't have to work. We're trying to get our lives to the point where we're not working so much. No, what we are trying to do is to move away from engaging with our life's work from our ancestral trauma perspective. If you are coming from an ancestry that went through colonization, war, famine, pestilence, disease, your people have trauma in their DNA and their souls, right? And so because of that, pestilence, disease, war, slavery, all of these violent templates, what they do is create a state of not enoughness. There's not enough in the world, which is based not on truth, because there's enough resources in our planet to actually feed all of us, right? But because of different inorganic consciousnesses, hyperdimensional forces, very horrific programming of our planet, we unfortunately have ancestors who experience what I'm talking about: pestilence, disease, famine, war, and slavery, right? And it doesn't actually really matter whether you are in the same land your ancestors used to be in, but the consciousness of your people who went through these programming is with you today, right? So meaning, for example, if you are a Black person, like me, for example, in Botswana, we do not have necessarily a big history of war, right? I mean, at least in the last 500 years, there isn't a history of war here. So does that mean I'm not connected to the war consciousness? that other African people are connected to? No, it doesn't mean that. But someone who has recent ancestors where there was war, there was trauma, they definitely will have a greater feeling of not enoughness and not being safe compared to me. But because I have incarnated as a Black person in the grid of Africa, the collective consciousness of the African grid affects me. So even if I've never experienced, or any of my ancestors that I can trace in the last 7 generations have never experienced war, I know what it's like to go through war, because my blood carries the energy of every Black person as well. But this also applies to every human being. So every human being knows war in some level, right? So it is these trauma experiences that our people have went through that will interact with our engagement with work. The reason why the old grid used to say that it gets to be easy for you, it's a very simple, and in the truth, the highest level of resources and prosperity should work like that. In reality, it does not work like that, because our people during these times, they had to work almost to death in the land without a lot of support in terms of like technologies and so on. And even when they would harvest something, that harvesting usually didn't even go to them. It was disseminated in ways that was not fair, right? So our people have this, we call it the slave code, right? The, what is it called? At the farms, what were those farms called during slavery times? Oh, why am I forgetting this? It's an actual word that some people use to explain this. It's a syndrome, the slave syndrome, where you still act as if you are back there with the master. Plantation syndrome, yes, the plantation syndrome, where you still act as if you are in the plantation, just like your ancestors. You know, I once watched this interview of Trevor Noah interviewing his grandmother, and the grandmother was saying during apartheid, they were forced to go into the farms to take out potatoes from morning until night. And even if someone will collapse, they would just continue to do that work and not even help that person. Or even if they died, I think she said died, they would just kind of like cover them up and just continue, right? That's so traumatic, right? It gives you, your body, your blood, your DNA, the idea that the only way you can be safe, not be killed, have a little bit of food for your family, is to work to the extreme, which is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about, though, that every human being has an impulse to wake up and do work, right? So in your mission as a genetic path cutter, are you working? Are you waking up every day to do work in your service in the world? Or you are sitting and waiting for something to change? So by the way, this may be a very triggering conversation because I've got questions for you, but that's how we heal. This also applied to me, right? Are you following me? Right? Yes. So the traumas of our people will influence how we engage with our work. Most of the time, we either go through the distortions of overworking, and even overworking without thinking of strategy. So when you really think about like what the slaves had to do, it's like, so they couldn't all sit down and come up with other machines, technologies that could help in that, right? I usually get so frustrated when I go to my father's land. However, I have come to see it as trauma. So my father's people, they are Muzilikazi descendants, so the Kalangas here in Botswana. And from 4 a.m. until day, night, all my cousins, my aunties, my father, all of them, they wake up and they're just busy the whole day. And I don't know what they're busy with, warriors. I'm 30 years old. I never know what they're busy with, but everyone is busy. every single day. And one person is going that side. It's just so confusing for me. And I realized it's a trauma response because they come from a war timeline, right? Muzikazi was in the Difetani Wars, right? So it's in the Kalanga people to work hard such that even if there isn't work to do, they create work for themselves. I have seen my aunts and cousins creating work for themselves unnecessary. Like instead of sitting down, they say, I'm just gonna just start, redecorating this house, repainting this house. Why? It's okay. Just sit down. That's my people from my mother's side, right? So that's a discussion where you are now overworking because you can't be still. Yes, you can't be still. Or you're going the other extreme. A lot of feminine women beings who believe they're awakening to that divine feminine energies do this. Also, people in the spiritual community do this, where they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here, the ancestors will bring me the money. Oh, I'm just gonna be in this bliss state. Money comes to me with ease. And you're just gonna sit there all day. That's not in alignment with any law. I mean, some law, but yeah. So we move to the discussions of not working at all, and you go through a state of entropy. Your energy will diminish if you do this, because it's not a natural way of being. The feminine is, yes, created differently from the men. It's very, very debilitating what working and overworking does to the female body and the feminine field, because it's not in alignment with our energy. And then sitting down, also just not doing anything, is also not our way. So the new grid is about the middle ground, right? And what is the middle ground? Right? So I said that it's no longer about making money, but allowing money to come to us, because the new grid fundamentally is about being who you really are, right? Your life's work. What is your life's work? Is it to teach? Is it to work with the land? Is it to heal? That's your life's work. Go be that. That's the first sequence. Go be that. Go be your life's work. Go do it, but be it mostly, right? Be the healer, be the teacher, be the farmer, be the accountant, be the thing that is your life's work, that you already know what it is, right? We do know what our life's work is, right? How do you know what your life's work is? It's kind of like the thing you've been doing your whole life, right? And you just need to sit very deeply and ask, what have I been doing my whole life? Where has life been pushing me? Where have I seen myself being inclined to do work here, right? So for me, before I could say I'm a healer, growing up, it was always that wherever Joy is, she's right there sitting down explaining things to people. All the time. Even when I was 13, I was always explaining things to people. People come and ask me questions and I will break it down. That's my life's work, to come and break down concepts for people, right? That's my life's work. It's the essence of what you're doing, right? So let me know, what is your life's work? When you think about it, what has life been forcing you somehow to do all the time, to be all the time? In your family, who are you? You know how we have all those pictures of which cousin is who in the family, right? Interestingly, in my family, in all the events that are happening, by end of day, my uncle would have called me to the corner to tell me a problem he has, even when I was 13. My grandmother will come and tell me her pain with her son. My mother will come be frustrated, like all the time. Ever since I was a kid, people would just come and tell me their problems. It used to really annoy me because I didn't understand what it was. It was my life's work. Okay, so what is your life's work? This is your code in the new grid. The new grid will not allow you to do anything that is not your life's work. Also, if you fight your life's work, you are fighting against the tide of your life, the river of your life, you know? Yes. There you are holding space for people. Yes, that is your life's work. Okay. So if you want to get your sequence right there, as we move to the next sequence. So this one was about the sun. Okay. Then the next one is vocation, your vocation in the world, right? While the life's work is the thing that you just do wherever you are, it doesn't matter whether you are in the office or wherever, it's just something you do all the time. Your vocation is like this. You receive your vocation in the 9 months in your mother's womb. Although I am aware that some souls do not come 9 months, some souls arrive 5 months into their mother's pregnancy. But during that time when you're in your mother's field, you receive the wound of humanity, a specific wound. There are 64 of them. So you will receive one of these wounds. And this wound will be the wound, it will be your vocation in the world to come and heal this wound. Okay. Just because I am like on a teaching mode, I have forgotten what my thing is so that I can use it to explain to you guys. Okay, got mine. Yes, okay. So you will receive the wound of humanity. And you will also receive the gift that you are here to bring into the world. And that will be the thing that you are here to work on, a vocation, right? And that vocation may be an already existing vocation like teaching, but even in teaching, there is a specific way you are meant to teach, which is the actual vocation, right? The teaching is the role, which is the archetype you are already finding on earth, okay? The vocation sequence is connected to Mars, the planet Mars, the archetype of Mars. If you know Mars, this planet is about what? About action. It's about the actions you take, how you move, right? The energy of Mars is about the warrior. It has a lot of warrior energy, soldier energy, which means this is your strategy in the world on doing your life's work. Right? It's your strategy in the world to do your life's work. Are you with me? Right? This strategy, literally, if we're talking from a business perspective, this is the thing that will call in the money. If you align with your unique vocation, right? So I'll give you an example with me, so you can think about yours. So my vocation is, according to Gene Key's, Richard Root's process, is Gene Key number 8, okay? Which is the city of exquisiteness, right? The city of exquisiteness is things that are exquisite, right? The shadow of it is mediocrity. I really want to share with you guys like how I've seen money coming more and more into my life based on once I understood my vocation and accepted it, right? So although I've always had people coming to me, growing up, I always got the sense that people didn't really understand me or didn't understand how I would break down things because I've always kind of like been mechanical about things and wanting to break down the concepts in this PhD type of way. When I started my work as a healer and just basically entered the social media community, I was so afraid to actually share my teachings the way I understood them. So I would just share them also because I was using the old grid, teaching what I think other people want to know. And I remember there were times where I did teach on things like, it's not even like I regret it, but like how to connect, the 5 ways to connect with your ancestors. I don't know if I ever did how to do your sacred temple, like how to create your umsam. I don't think so, but I would have done that, which is what every healer in Africa or Southern Africa does in their teachings, right? So I did that and then very quickly realized this is not for me. But during the whole time when I was doing these teachings, I will literally not connect with anyone. You were not there. You did not find me during those times, right? Because I was in a shadow of mediocrity. This is not to say the teachings I'm talking about are mediocrity, but they were, in my consciousness, they were basic teachings. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not pulling anyone or saying people are doing basic teachings, but I mean, in regards to what I know, the level of information I know, that felt basic to me. And I tried to do the basic things, and my business did not grow, my service in the world did not grow. I wasn't getting clients and once I started to really study my pattern and my blueprint and my money sequence, I then realized that the city of exquisiteness is about, exquisiteness is this high level, almost like Xeria's experience, very mystical. I mean, in terms of my work. And it's the part I've always known I wanted to do. I want to teach people about spiritual sciences and mysticism and the highly advanced quantum mechanics. And once I actually started to teach that publicly, that's when you guys found me. You didn't know me before because I was not leaving my vocation. I wasn't doing it the way I was meant to do it. I meant to come and break down the concept. And the more I accept this about myself, right? And for me to accept this about myself, I had to clear out the trauma I was carrying around persecution, right? That my ancestors have been persecuted before. I have an ancestor in Asian timelines who was the wisdom keeper of the Zambezi tribe and the Zambezi totems, right? He kept the totem of wisdom. And even in his time, he was persecuted for wanting to share and explain sacred teachings, not just to initiates, but to the people, you know. And I have that wounding in me as well, where I felt like it's not safe to come and teach this. Not everyone will understand this. And it was my great ancestors' frequency that I was tapping into, because I'm also holding the totem of wisdom, which is what I inherited from him, right? So his trauma was alive in me, and I felt like it wasn't safe. I also felt like there was also the fear of not belonging, which my grandfather actually ended up having to leave his tribe, right? And I felt like I would leave my tribe as well. Like I have to be just like all the other healers, teach exactly what they're teaching to be accepted. And it was only when I started to heal my ancestor, commune with him, right? That's how I accessed him. I needed to find out, why do I have such a great fear of teaching what I know, right? What I've been studying for 12 years. And when I started to connect with this fear in my being of, I will be judged, I'll be rejected, I'll be persecuted, and I will lose my tribe. The losing the tribe was so big for me. And I need you to understand why you're holding back is often around what will other people think. And there is a subconscious programming in you that feels, it's not even about what will they think. It's a fear that you will lose them. If they find out what you believe in, and if you actually went and you shared with them your true work in the world, your life's work, your vocation, if you shared with them, they will stop. They will not interact with you. And the truth is, there's certain level of truth in that way that some people you will lose, because this is not something they are currently interested in getting to know. But what does happen is, the more you step into your vocation, the particular unique way you do things, the more abundance opens up for you. But you do have to access which aspect of you is afraid of doing that. And this is particularly true for genetic path cutters and true for the feminine being, because the feminine does not copy, the feminine creates. So if you keep trying to copy and repeat the past, repeat and create like how other people have been creating it, you will enter a state of entropy, because you are a creator. Literally, we create little humans, we bring them here, right? We co-create with the bigger feminine being, the Holy Mother, right? So if we are holding back, I don't know if this is speaking to you, but do you know where you are holding back because you're afraid of losing people? Where you may be like me in a shadow of mediocrity, pretending, not pretending, just doing it the way that other people do it because you think that is what will work, right? Are you having a fear of being rejected by people, people not getting what you are trying to do, being persecuted and not belonging, even in the community? Like one of my greatest fear to uncover, I moved through the fear of being persecuted by people who are not in the spiritual path. The greatest fear I had to move through was my fear of being persecuted by people in my community, other healers, right? Who will say, she's not doing things the right way. That has been the biggest one that I had to heal. And there's even still levels of healing that I'm still doing around that because it's connected to an ancestral trauma, my grandfather, right? But the more I hear my grandfather and some of my grandmothers, I must say, first of all, my grandmothers are very petrified by what I am doing. My ancestral grandmothers, they're just like, oh, Joy, you are so public about things. Shh. They say this to me. I'm like, I have to go and tell them. This is my grandfather, who is my main guide because he's the wisdom keeper. So that's the question. Your vocation is your particular way. So you may see that I have a website. I am very fancy with my launches. And I had to accept this about myself because I'm like, Joe, why can't you just chill and not take a photo shoot and not, write fancy high level English? No one understands what you're saying. By the way, when I write this, it's a transmission. Sometimes I'm discovering new words for the first time there, But I had to accept that. And for some reason, people say to me, Joy, I read your stuff. I didn't understand what you're saying, but I felt I had to come. Because it's about frequency, but it's also about me being the true joy and speaking from my soul, from my spirit, and then connecting with people's spirits at that level, even if the human self does not get why they're connecting with me, right? That is me living my vocation. To live your vocation is to not, you spiritual healers, all of us, do not abandon your art, your ability to write, to make things beautiful. Bring them to your life's work, right? If you are a person who loves to speak and who is also very funny, bring the jokes, right? I am intense, I had to accept this, but I'm also really good at the breaking down of this. So that's what I bring. So bring all yourself, be yourself, because the new grid, the more you are yourself, the more the frequency is sent out to the world, and you will magnetize the particular people who are in alignment with your frequency. Do you see? It's not about trying to get them to like market to them and convince them. I don't do that. To convince them, no, you tell them your soul, you show them who you are, and they come because they are your fractal, they're your soul family. They've been waiting for you to step into your mission. That's how now money is coming. That's how we heal the trauma. Ooh, this is so bad, guys. I need to charge. Okay. Yes, are you good? Let me know. Let me charge. I just bring a charger. How long have I been speaking? Okay, talk to me in the chat. One moment. I'm gonna just zoom out. Okay. How is this going to work? So it's not working. Okay. I like how you guys are just here waiting for me. Okay. I have to change my position. Because the adapter is too small. Okay, we are here. So that's it with the vocation. Does that make sense? Ooh, so beautiful. The shadow of greed, aspiration, and ascension. So this is the other thing. With the gene keys, you find that whatever that shadow is, it's in your ancestry, right? It's an inherited shadow, right? So for me, I know my people have had a challenge of the shadow of mediocrity. I see it in my sister, see it in my mother and my father, you know, the Muhammad family. I see where we are downplaying our light, our gifts, you know, our genius, right? So where are you downplaying your genius? Okay. So the last one is, so this is the other thing about your vocation. Because it's about mass, you must take action. Okay? You have to take action. This is the other thing about like the old grid. It was almost as if you're not even taking any particular action, you're just all zen and then the thing will come. But that's, money is meant to come to you. You're meant to magnetize it through you being, but also really fundamentally understanding what it means to be human. We can't believe concepts of spirit and then just try to paste them into the human experience. While the human experience greatly comes from above, as above, so below, the human experience though we are working within a metric system, a system that's existing. And even for me as a healer, I have to have a bank, a card, an account, and I have to follow the rules of the metrics. Even if I was to leave the metrics, however, it will even just create so much difficulty, because ultimately ascension is not about leaving the metrics. It's about leaving the metrics here, not physically, but here in the mind, in the spirit, right? Your body can be off the earth, but it is not, it can be here in the earth, but it is not of the earth, right? Yes. Okay. Okay. So the last sequence in the PELT sequence is culture. This is so important. It's my favorite key, right? Culture is fundamentally, how I understand it, how you are meant to influence the culture. This is the culture of your family, the culture of your bloodline, the culture of your community, the culture of the collective human race, right? There is a particular way in which you are influential. Every single one of us, we have an influence in the world, in our family, right? And there are those who may even appear as if that influence is inverted or negative, but really in a very highly intricate way, every one of us, there is a role we are playing, right? There is a role you can play that is about the trauma, right? Which is maybe you have chosen to be the collapsed feminine who is struggling to create wealth for themselves so that in the family you are taken care of, right? That's not your influence. You need to check yourself out, to call yourself out on that, right? There is where we could also go another extreme of thinking and believing that you are supposed to be the martyr, come and save everyone, give everyone all the money. That is also an inverted distortion, right? Because you are robbing people from their ability to connect back with that power, to become empowered, to take the steps that they need to take themselves from wherever they have fallen. Because we see the God in them. And we have to trust in that God that it will wake up. This is obviously not saying that when your family members are asking for support, you say, oh, I see the God in you, I will wait for you to rise up. There are times when that's true. You need to recognize when that is, right? But if a person is in trouble, of course, we have a duty. This is my Jinkin Vara. I speak like this, a duty, responsibility to be in service to other people, because we are all one fundamentally, although we can also distort that law. We don't need to, right? So your culture is how you influence culture, the way in which you are born to influence culture. The thing is though, your life's work, your vocation and culture, they are a triangle because they work together. The way in which you influence culture often is through your life's work, right? And through the vocation, the way in which you do it. But the culture itself, the way that you can see what your influence in culture is either to look at what frustrates you about things in our world and what you feel called to come and change in our culture. And then it's about how, for you, how do you feel called to do that, right? So for example, for me, I am the Jinki, the city of revelation, right? The city of revelation with the gift of mindfulness. So even when I was a child, I just had a keen gift of observing things and seeing things and understanding things. And that's how I have the city of revelations. So most of the time when I come share here, it's not just things I've read. Some of them, it's my own, it's a revelation of spirit moving through me, speaking to me. And I've always known, I've always felt, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I've always felt like the way we can heal a lot of the problems in our world is through knowledge, through wisdom. If people knew how things worked, they will have better relationships. They'll have better relationships with that money. If they just understood what's unfolding, they will be less in pain, in suffering, right? That is how I've always felt called to come and change the culture. So for you, you also have your own particular, and like for me, it may feel like mine is so clear because it's about wisdom, but whichever one yours is, you also have an influence. You just have to look at what that is. Like, what is your particular genius? What is this unique way in which you do your work? Whether you are a teacher in an actual school, what is the thing that people say, ever since you joined our school, this is what we've been doing more. What is it that people say when you enter a room and you're like, you have a way of making people feel better. That's your culture. That's the sequence of your culture. You know, those people who just can make everyone laugh. Do you know the aunt who, whenever they come, everyone gets so happy, right? That's that influence, right? So your influence, if you accept it and you fully choose to step into it more and more, and you particularly bring it to your life's work, and you bring your vocation together, these three, when they are in harmony, when you are functioning not from that shadow, but from the gift, the city, you will have the great harvest. And the great harvest is your pearl. It is not something you manipulate, it comes to you. It is, in other way, the way in which God, in which life says thank you. It is a gratitude. Fundamentally, when we are wanting to heal our money, the highest and fastest way to do that, it is in being in service. The first service that you have to be is to the divine will that God has created through you, in you. What has God willed for your life? What is the prophecy of your life? Right? If you accept this, you stop fighting this, you see it for what it is. There is the universe is already coded to come and return all of the times you have been in service to humanity. It will come back to you. You don't have to chant. You don't have to do hundreds and hundreds of woosas and affirmations. Why? Because it's already, if you just be the teacher, be the healer, be the compassionate person that you're meant to be, right? If you stop fighting it and calculating it and saying, oh my God, you know, I'm always the one who makes everyone laugh and no one ever tries. Well, that's not that influence, that's yours, right? So where are you still fighting who you are? Because you're fighting your prophecy, you're fighting divine will. And you're trying, and here's the thing, consciousness, human consciousness, it is also coded with the impulse to evolve, which is why, if you're watching me, we are the crew, the ground crew that is meant to come and evolve, which means we get to evolve how we call in money. We get to evolve how we influence culture, how we do our life's work, how we do our vocation in the world, right? I know you know the thing you've been wanting to do in the unique way you want to do it, but you've been holding back because you think maybe people won't get it, they won't understand, it's whatever stories you have. These stories are coming from the trauma and you need to release them, right? And here's the thing, we can, when it comes to culture, and culture is connected to Jupiter, right? And it's about really truly service, the highest level of service. When we are not in alignment with our culture, we will fall into influencing culture from the pain of our ancestors, right? If I am not careful, I can maybe use my city of revelation to come and manipulate people with this, right? That would be the distortion. And you know, I could use other strategies from the old grid. You know, I could come and be like, how to make 10K months. Like, I would teach you the mechanics of this and come and use inorganic rituals to teach people to manipulate, and they will experience money, but it will be inorganic and I will be going against my culture. But probably the reason why I will do that, it is because I believe there is not enough. I am in a scarcity mindset, right? So when you truly want to experience a healed money, transcend a healed money, you have to change how you think, the mental temperaments, belief systems that you have. And then you have to function from a being state, who I be, right? Who you be. And being. So this new grid, if you can notice, it requires you be more and more attentive to who you are. It requires you be more patient with your process and your healing of the money trauma. And yet there's something that happens. It's like once you shift the biggest block of your ancestry, the money will start to just come out of the blue, because what was stopping it was this trauma of your people, right? So these are questions I want to ask you, okay? I want you to go and contemplate, journal on this to shift and heal your money trauma, right? So the first question, this is also influenced by the teachings of the Pearl sequence from Richard Rood, right? But these are questions I created particularly for you warriors. Okay, so the first question is, what weight do I need to shed in my life? What is the weight, this heavy baggage you're carrying? And this is not about money, it's about any weight, whether it's a physical weight, emotional weight, spiritual weight, right? One of the weights that we carry is people's opinion, right? What people will think. And often I see people not fully showing up because this weight is holding them back, right? So what weight do I need to shed? Let's write that. If someone can write that for me on the chart. Yes. Okay. And then today, what is clear to you? What is simple to you? So here's the thing about the teachings we've given about wealth creation. Most of the time you're told these new things you're supposed to add. You're supposed to wake up at 4 a.m. You're supposed to spend time with 5 of the richest people. Go into all of these are about you coming out of yourself and going to find and seek money from the world, right? And none of it tells you go within. What is clear for you today? What? Because actually prosperity is about simplicity. It's about simplifying your life and tuning more and more to your own particular genius and intelligence and working with that. So what is the simplest thing that you know you do? You could do this with your eyes open. If you are a practicing healer and you are trying to get clients, this question, the answer to this, that answer, that should be your first sales and marketing strategy, period. Whatever that simple thing, what is the simple thing that you know you can do? So for me, I knew I can come and break down concepts. That was simple. It has always been clear to me. My knowledge has always been clear to me. I don't have any imposter syndrome around my knowledge. Like I never doubted it ever. So once I understood this, I was like, that's all I have to bring to the world. That's all. The world does not expect anything else but for me to be this thing I've always been. And this is true for you as well. Are you with me? Okay. So you have a block in your money, go answer that, and that is your strategy. In fact, if we don't even want to call it strategy, wake up every single day and just go do that simple thing. Okay. So Richard Rood says that the Pearl sequence, as in prosperity, often comes after the Venus sequence. The Venus sequence is your love. Okay. Prosperity, wealth, even money comes from expanding your capacity to love humanity, to love your service in the world, to love your calling, even if you currently perceive it to be difficult. So you have this gift, right? You love doing that gift, you creating with that gift, but you're holding back. You're not taking this great love of yours to the world. You're holding it back because you're second guessing yourself. You are undermining this gift. You're saying you're not enough just yet. We must go get all the other things for us to be enough, right? So the question is, where are you holding back with your gift? Where are you holding back also from love? Because your gift is literally the love of God. God so loved the world and created you. I will not say the original, the original saying, but yes, right? Are you with me? Yes. Let's write that. So where are you holding back love? The more we open our capacity to love, the more we will show up, right? And this is an inside job, like to love humanity. You have, if you move in the world doubting the goodness of humanity, I mean, are you going to show up for them? No, you're not going to show up. You're not going to try to be saved to them. Your pain will hold you back, which is why the next question is, where is your heart hurting? Because the fastest way to be who you are comes from your heart, honestly, right? So where is your heart hurting? So for me, for a really long time, my heart was hurting from feeling like I don't belong. And it was that thing that was holding me back, where because my heart wanted to belong so much, it felt like it had to be in the shadow of mediocrity so I can belong. Do you see how your pain is stopping you from your vocation, from your life's work, from your culture? Right? Where is it hurting? Yes, the rejection is so big for genetic path cutters. We're so afraid of being rejected that we don't share with people our gifts, right? We don't share our offers with them. We're just waiting for one day to be ready to share the offer in the way we want to share it, right? Where is your heart heading? Okay, and then the next one is, what is your sense of purpose and also your relationship to your sense of purpose? How many of us can just proudly say that they love, accept that purpose? You know, how many of us are not afraid of our purpose, even if our purpose is different from other people, from the world? It's not the most acceptable, right? If there is a part of you that has a negative relationship, you can know your sense of purpose. I know many people who know that they're oracles, they're shamans, they're healers, but they just are like on a zero with this. They're like, oh, I wish I was not, though. I wish I wasn't a healer. So I'm not going to even move in the world like I am. So, I mean, how will money come to you if you are rejecting your purpose? Because your purpose is, you are in a relationship with it. It's like a partner. You're a partner of prosperity creation, right? Yes. And then this one for me changed my life. It comes from the teachings of Seth. And this is something that I would like you to do even beyond money, which is, what are my value fulfillments? Right? What are my value fulfillments? Oh, sorry. So what are value fulfillments? So every human being, there are specific things that you value that may not necessarily be the same as the next person, right? And in fact, even as thing, like even with money, let's take money. there are different reasons why we value money. Some people value it because it makes them cool. Some people value it because it creates freedom for them. Some people value it because it helps them help their family. There are different reasons why we value what we value, right? And so it is important for you to know what are your values, what is it actually that you value, because your life to feel fulfilled is for you to fulfill these values, right? So it's not even so much about, like for some people, it's not even so much about like getting the money or getting the beloved. So it's actually fundamentally more about the essence underneath having that thing, right? Which for me, for example, growing up, I felt like I could not care less about money, was not attached to it. But as time went on, I realized I truly value my freedom. I want to feel free. I also value creativity, right? And I realized I can't create because of lack of money. And I need to fulfill my value of creativity and my value of freedom. Right? Actually, for me, my number one value when it comes to money is creativity, the ability to create, right? And once I could accept that I value creativity more than anything in the world, then I have to do what I can to ensure I get to create, which require that I heal my money trauma and learn about money, you know, and all these teachings I'm sharing here, right? And the more I fulfilled the ability to create, the more money comes to me. The more I create, the more money comes to me. So the more you do your values, the more that thing you seek will come, right? So for example, if you value connection, and the more you open yourself up to connection, the more you will find beloveds who will connect with you in the level in which you desire, and you will feel fulfilled in those relationships, right? Yes. So what are my value fulfillments? If you could write 10 things of your value fulfillment and actually figure out what are your top 3 values in life, right? What are your top 3 values? And you create your life around your values, okay? And then the last 2 is, how are you called to give back to life? How are you called to give back to life? When I say money comes to you, in some way, I'm saying life gives you money. It returns money to you because you have served life. You have served the earth. You have served God. You have served humanity. Right? So every one of us, there's a way that life is calling us. What is yours? What is this particular way that life is calling you? Right? And yes, how are you called to give back to life? For the earth is holding you, allowing you to build your houses and move in its body. How can you give back to this earth? How can you give back to life? Then go do that, right? And then the last one is, what does prosperity or money creation look like to you, right? Why? Because really, when it comes to prosperity, it's very subjective, right? There is someone right now who really just desires to have like $1,000. Like that is an idea of prosperity for them. There's someone who desires 2,000, 10,000, you know, that's their idea of prosperity. And here's the thing, wealth creations, or the teachings of wealth creations, will make you feel like you should want more and more and more for the sake of wanting more and more and more, instead of really sitting down to figure out what is your sense of prosperity. What does that look like for you? When you say, I'm really truly prospering, what will that include? Because interestingly enough, the more you feel really good with different aspects of your life, the more life is magnetized to you, the more the pearl wants to give to you. It's a beautiful law that many people haven't figured out. As in, sometimes that conversation you need to go have with your sister is the thing that will unlock your money. because you are clearing and creating a prosperous relationship with your sibling. And that you didn't know, you may not know that those calls with your sisters activate something in you, creativity, the creativity you need to when create, right? So it's not about just looking into money from a single mindset, right? And that was the problem with the old grid. It made you feel like you just focus on money. No, sometimes the money is not coming because of other things outside money, right? So what are these other things? Figure them out and then create what prosperity looks like to you beyond money. All right, those are the questions that will help you to really share what you need to share and begin to get in alignment for your PEL sequence to begin to unfold. I hope this has been helpful to you, right? Let me just quickly check if you guys have any questions. Let me know what spoke to you. So essentially with your PEL, because you're asking here, Senekwe, how do I do, like I know my life's work, for example, I also may know how I influence culture, but I don't know my unique way of doing that, right? So here's the thing, if something makes you feel like you have to go outside yourself, it's probably not your highest timeline. It's not your highest money timeline, meaning you don't have to go figure out what the unique way is outside you. Already, the unique way has already been coded in your DNA. It's your own uniqueness, your own uniqueness, right? You don't have to go get training on how to be unique. You are already unique, right? So do it the way you want, right? Like the truth is, do it in the thing that brings you so much excitement when you think about it, even if it's crazy, even if people think that's wild, even if you've never seen it been done before. In fact, if you haven't seen it been done before, you're probably in the right timeline, and that is probably where your great harvest will come, right? Oh, yes. So thank you, everyone. I hope this was really helpful. Ultimately, it's important to know that a lot of our blocks comes from our ancestry, and we need to heal these. But also another thing, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, Joyce, but how do I heal? Oh my God. Yes, you can come to healing with the divine grandmothers, but you can also step into your PEL sequence, right? And then whichever block you meet on the way, as in like, you start to realize, oh, I'm so afraid of being seen by people. That is a wounding that's in your ancestry. That's the trauma. And so what do you need to do? You need to get your body in a state of relaxation, your nervous system, your DNA, your ancestry, your ancestors. Warriors, I have to tell you, every time I am expanding in ways that are visible to me, I start having anxiety attacks. I've seen it. I start to panic. I start to feel like, oh my God, it's not going to work out, right? And my recent expansion was moving into my new place. The first 2 days of moving here, I was crying so much. Because when I will sit down with my body, I will feel the entire fear of my grandmothers who have never moved out, right? For them, when they were moving out, they were moving to their husband's home, right? So this whole thing of a single woman moving out and she's just gonna stay there alone was so terrifying for my grandmothers. And I had to feel the pain and the fear, because I didn't even know I was carrying some kind of fear. But the more I connected with my body, the more I connected and went within to my heart, the more I could feel the screams of my grandmother saying, no, go back home. Just wait for your husband to come and then you can move out, you know? So it's important to know, usually when you are expanding, it will, and then what happened after that? After that, I saw contraction happening with my money, where my money wasn't flowing the way it usually flows, right? And that was because there's a part of me that felt unsafe by money coming. So I tried to stop it, and I kind of created energetically problems with my money, right? So you will notice every time you're growing, you are expanding, particularly the feminine. You have a new relationship, your money starts to have problems. You just got a new promotion, your money starts, someone has a unique problem that you have to help them with. I can't tell you how many people have been reaching out asking for support from me, and I'm like, what did what is going on, you know? So you have to learn to feel these energies that are inside you, the anxiety, the overwhelm. You don't avoid it, feel it. And the more you feel it, the more it will tell you what's happening, and the more you heal it. And I mean, I've been healing it, and now I feel a deep clarity. Has, of course, when I think about how a lot of my grandmothers have never experienced this, I understand why it took me more than 2 months to clear this. I've been working on it, you know, and I'm still working on it, honestly, but I've healed enough of it, right? So a friend of mine was asking, how long does it take to heal ancestral money trauma? My question is, how long did we accumulate trauma in our ancestry? A long time, hundreds of years, right? But this is not to overwhelm you to start thinking, oh my God, I have hundreds of years to heal. But it's just honestly, just be more honest with yourself that one clearing, listening to Joy's teaching today, cannot be the enough information you need to step into your entire pearl sequence. Definitely something shifted for you today. You dropped something, I hope so, right? And that's good, but you still have to continue to do the work. And you have to be patient, right? You have to trust God, you have to trust the ancestors, you have to trust your guides, you have to trust your soul in your journey to be in service. And in fact, the more you make this about service to humanity rather than how much money you make, the more you will see changes, the more the money will come. Okay. Yes. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. I will see you next week on Thursday. You can go once again, check out Healing with the Divine Grandmothers. We will dive deep into these. You can come bring your specific questions, and we will, clear them in the container. Okay. Good night, my loves.